Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
Explore the lesser-known stories of our unknown world. Join the pursuit of the paranormal with Ash and Greg.
Hey Ash, how's it going?
I'm good, Greg. Recovering after this weekend's mini con.
Yay! That was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was great. There were so many people there, everybody in the same room, talking about a subject and listening to a subject that everybody's there for, and everybody was just like focused on that main stage. But good also to meet, because we had you were obviously doing your talk and UFO Identified doing running the show, and then I had a stand table in the back room along with some others, including Ryan Spraggs and the guys from UAP Media UK. So there was a chance to mingle with a lot of people. Big shout out to Nick Thompson, been with us right from the start, as have a lot of others, to be fair. But Nick was there and he come and said hello to both of us.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy. Really nice to meet you, Nick. And thanks for the coffee. I did offer to pay, just to clarify. He said, "Do you want a coffee?" I said, "I'd pay." He goes, "No, I'll get you this." So
I didn't get a coffee. Where's my coffee, Nick?
Well, I was actually waiting for you to get me a coffee.
I know. I did go to get one. I think I've forgotten. And didn't come back.
I got completely forgot.
I was busy. I was very busy.
You were busy, to be fair. I just munched on those little flying saucer sweets for most of the day. It was a great conference. It was really good. We met a lot of previous guests as well.
Yeah.
So that was great. And people who just follow us on social media. And new people that hadn't heard of us.
Hello to you along. If you start listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I was giving out all the little cards with our Linktree stuff on there. So hopefully, and big shout out to everybody who bought some merch from us. We sold quite a few T-shirts, and I emailed a load of people because we didn't have the sizes or the colours they want. So
we didn't know how much people would buy, but ends up selling pretty much selling out.
And we had a range of sizes and designs. So people were like, I'll go for that. Have you got it in a large? Yep, I'm having it. So it was great. It went better than I could have imagined for like the stand itself. People were really interested. Loads of people coming up and talking to me. So
the whole conference was just, it went so smoothly.
Brilliant.
You had very, very few hiccups. It was
brilliant.
It was awesome. I stood up and gave my first ever public presentation.
You did. You wouldn't have known. You would not have known. It went really well. So big shout to you, Ash. I know that was something that you weren't entirely looking forward to.
No.
But you did good. You did good. And considering the amount of people that were in that room watching you at that point, that's quite daunting for anybody. So, and big shout out to the rest of the UFO Identified crew. So, Steve, Abby, Natalie, great work, you guys.
Top guys, couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And it was really great to see. So obviously, we talk a lot on and off air. And I know that you guys have been putting so much work into it. The posters, of which I've got one holding up right now that nobody can actually see, but it's holding it up. And it's sold out. And it's great to meet like Andy McGrillen. Sorry, Andy. Dan, Frank from the UFO Thinker podcast.
Yeah, we do regular episodes with Frank, so it's good.
We do.
I've already met him, but for you guys to meet as well, that's good.
Yeah, it was cool. And to meet Ryan Spragg as well.
Yeah,
he's such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. And he had a lot of time for everybody. He was signing books. He was having photos. I got my fanboy moment in. I got a photo with him, as did you, Ash.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful day of like-minded people. And to be fair, I didn't know what kind of image I would have in my head of the kind of person that would attend a conference.
Mm.
I don't know why I was thinking. Well, I wasn't thinking. I just don't know who was going to turn up. But it seemed to be all ages. There was kids there.
Mm.
There was teenagers. I saw a student from uni buying a book off Jason Gleaves. It was, and right up to old people, older than me, Ash, before you mention it. So I'm in my 40s just, and they're like family, all sorts.
Families
it was
there,
great.
lots of women there. It's quite diverse.
It was very mixed. I
Yeah.
would have said that is probably about as diverse a crowd as you were going to get anywhere, considering the subject and considering we talk a lot about the fact that it seems to be white middle-aged men, especially when you look at some of the celebrities of the world of UFOs. So that changed a lot. There was a whole mix of everybody there.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's the future. Who knows?
Yeah, and everybody. There's people coming up to you at the end saying, "Well done, that was great. Can I book for the next one?" I heard somebody.
People
say.
asking like, "When's the next one?" and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like sometime next year. Oh, we'll get this out of the way before you even start thinking about
it. Was and big shout out to the raffle winner who got a Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast T-shirt, the NASA one. So big up yourself. Wear it for pride. So yeah, that was great, Ash. That was great. So well done to you guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we also on the back of this, I came up and stayed at your house. So I came up the day before.
Yeah.
And we did, after we went out for dinner, we come back and we went into the basement of where you live.
Well, we talked about it a couple of times, haven't we, on this show?
And conducted a paranormal investigation.
We did. And we had some interesting results.
We did. There's a 7-second clip that I've posted up on social media of where we're just about to end the recording of the video on the mobile, and we hear both of us hear a noise, and you see us turn around. And I think I captured a moment saying, "Have you already pressed stop?" I was like,
"Yeah." I asked you, like, "Are you still recording?"
Yeah,
because I knew you'd finished saying it, and it's like, I was in my head, like, please still be recording to capture that.
And it was.
It sounded like something hit just outside the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
And the place is mad. It's like they were like nearly 2 foot thick walls, solid walls of brick and whatever. There's a building inside a building.
There's rooms with only like a little hole in the side of the wall to actually get into that room.
And then step ladders in these little rooms going up to nothing. And the only way I could describe it is when you open the basement door to go down, it is like something out of The Conjuring, the first one, where they go down into the basement. Or if you have seen Hell House LLC, I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
Horror film. It's a great film. The basement looks a little bit like that. You walk down, you've got the wooden stairs going down. It was a proper freaky place, wasn't it?
It was.
So the video of that is coming soon once I've worked my magic on it.
Yeah, we'll do a special episode for the results of our investigation.
And it's likely that will only be available to people who subscribe on Buy Me a Coffee at the moment. It will come out to everybody else because all of the stuff we do always comes out free. But there will be a delay because the guys who have supported us get the opportunity to have a view of this first before anybody else. So so nice one. If you want to get involved and watch that, buy me a coffee.
Head to linktree.com/Pursuit of the Paranormal for all the links.
Or go to our new updated website.
Yep.
That is currently in construction, but
it's still going there.
Still going there. You can buy merch using Apple Pay, PayPal, straight from your mobile.
Some of the super popular T-shirts from the conference were available on the site.
Yes, and more will start going up. and more merch will be going up. But just at the moment, there are a few of the popular ones. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, big shout out to the website doing its thing. Also, it's a good opportunity to subscribe. If you subscribe to our newsletter and so get your let us have your email address, basically, we will give you 10% off your first merch order. And throughout the whole of October, there's 25% sale on the t-shirts. So you get 25% plus another 10% if you subscribe to the newsletter.
Super value.
Super value. And I'm crying at the amount of money that we're giving away on that. But we think it's worth it. And it's a slick thing. It's all secure payments, everything like that.
And I'm crying over the cost of the website. So
don't.
If you can help us recoup some of that back, that'd be super helpful.
It's where I received the email and it said, "Thanks for signing up, and thanks for your payment of X amount of money." And I was at work and I was like, "Oh fuck!" But you guys will see a massive improvement on the website coming up. So
yeah,
if anybody's got any articles they want us to review and maybe get up, like a readers or viewers and listeners sort of story page, cool, we'll go with that. Send it in, email, subscribe to the newsletter, and we'll send out the details.
Nice one.
Cool. So what are we going to talk about today, Ash?
So he's going to be a bit of a flip on vibe, I guess. Obviously, it's been quite a upbeat, happy start to the show.
It has.
So we are going to turn that on its head a little bit, get a little bit poignant. Because obviously we are coming up to our 100th episode.
Yay! I can't believe it.
100th regular episode, I should say.
We're about 170 odd episodes. So
about 100th main weekly
yes.
full-length episode, which this is number 96.
This is 96, yeah.
So as we're coming up to our 100th, we've been sort of looking back at some of our initial episodes. And one of the yeah. I don't want to listen to some of the very, very early ones. That's just too cringe. But one of our best performing, which has been best performing throughout 2 years, it's the most listened to episode, our most popular episode by far. It's one we refer to it quite a lot actually in just regular podcast, and that was episode 8.
Yes.
And we spoke to John Edmonds at Stardust Ranch.
R.I.P. John.
Yeah, and like Greg says, John died in February this year, so we interviewed him only a couple of months before he actually died.
Yeah.
Were we the last people to interview him? Possibly.
It might quite possibly.
Possibly.
And it took us a long time to get him on the podcast, of constant hassling him, basically.
He doesn't have internet or mobile phone at his home. It's only when he goes into the town that he gets internet access at the internet cafe.
Yeah. So it was a tricky conversation to set up, but we got there. That was our early days when we knew what we were doing vaguely, but we were learning on the job right away. So yeah, we managed to speak to John, and yeah, great guy.
So we figured this week we would sort of recap that episode and sort of what went on at Stardust Ranch, and talk about some of the other ranches in America that have had similar weird stuff going on. So you obviously got Skinwalker Ranch,
yes.
You've got the Eceti Ranch,
yes.
You've got Blind Frog Ranch,
yes,
and we're also going to talk about Evans Ranch. So we're just going to sort of do a brief look at each one and sort of look at the parallels and the differences between each one and see if there's anything that links all these different places and why you seem to have this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So let's start with Stardust.
I think we have to.
Yeah, I hand over to you, Greg. I know you followed this a lot more than I did before we had John on.
Yeah, so Stardust Ranch, wow. Skinwalker, everybody knows Skinwalker Ranch. Everybody, pretty much. And anybody who's interested in UFOs and weird stuff definitely knows what's about Skinwalker. But Stardust Ranch was something that I came across on a previous podcast that I was listening to way back in the day. And I was like, what the hell? this guy's story is incredible. And I'd heard John's interview with some other people, and I thought he sounds genuine. And like we've said before on other podcast episodes, that people's experiences are kind of, until it happens to you, it's this kind of experience that you're not really too sure if did it happen or whatnot. So John buys this ranch, and from day one, weird shit goes down. Some guy comes up to him with a knife, and he's got long hair, looks a bit like a bum, for want of a better phrase. And John walks over and says, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I work here." And John's like, "Well, I've just bought the ranch, and I don't want you working here." And he says to John that he's the one that kills all the creatures. And John's obviously like, "What the fuck are you talking about, you nut job?" And John's history, along with his wife, if they've got connections to FBI and all that kind of stuff, and three-letter agencies. So, obviously,
so this guy, it's always intrigued me because who was it? It'd be awesome to.
Yeah, he was never mentioned again.
Yeah,
it's never seen again.
It's like interesting to try and find out previous owners and then speak to them. Who was the guy that you hired?
Yeah,
like, try and track him down somehow. It's just like say he's the one that kills the monsters on the ranch. It's just like you say, it's just like what is going on?
And that's like day one of you rocking up to this.
Like moving into a new house and someone's like, "Yeah, I kill the monsters that are here."
Yeah, so yeah, and then so from day one, weird shit happens. Like all the previous owners' furniture's all still in the property when he gets there, and John phones up the realtor and the real estate agent and says they haven't moved all the stuff, get it moved. So they go off for a meal and go to the cinema, come back a bit later, and every single item that was in the house is now in this swimming pool in the gut. So he phones up the real estate agent again and said, "What the fuck is going on?" And they're like, "Don't know what you're on about. We haven't organised anything." So literally, I don't know how all the stuff got in there, and it's all like stacked up in the pool. So
empty pool,
yeah. And it takes John ages to get rid of all that crap, and obviously he's not very happy about that. And then from then on, it just starts going downhill in weirdness. Long story short, he starts experiencing aliens in the property, trying to kidnap his wife, and he ends up handcuffing his wife. Not too sure how. He's got handcuffs in the bedroom for some reason. So he's handcuffing his wife to the bed so they can't take her, basically. And he tried to shoot them, and as soon as he fires the gun, they move and nothing. They can't seem to be hit by bullets. So he goes old school and goes full samurai and has a samurai sword. And he establishes a pattern of when they disappear, he can work out where they're going to reappear. So they literally blip and disappear out of view and then come back somewhere else. And he figures out the pattern of how they move. And he's waiting for them at the point that they reappear. So when they reappear, he fucking kills them. And there's photographs of the samurai sword covered in blood. And John claims to have killed, at the point of us speaking to him, 19 greys. And if you've listened to the trailer for that episode, that's the clip that we use. And he says he's killed 19 aliens. I mean, what do you even say to somebody who's killed 19 aliens? Killed one alien, in fact, but 19 of the fuckers.
Even to shoot at him. It's mad because like the way he describes where the aliens can just blip out and then blip back in somewhere else. It's actually pretty reminiscent of like the Tic Tac.
Yes.
And forward where you can just see one point in the sky and all of a sudden it's just in a completely different point at like massive speeds, or it just blips to two different places. It's very similar. So it could be, if it is all linked, it's the same technology.
That kind of interdimensional capabilities. You just go, I'm back somewhere else, and then I'm.
So if he's, I'm going to say if he's killed all these aliens, Were there any bodies?
No. Well, there was, and he took a sample of part of an alien that he had, and he sent it over to a well-known and respected scientist for analysis. And the analysis was that it was sort of a mixture of like a vegetation. I don't know what the exact wording was, but it was like a hybrid mix of DNA and I don't know what the word for vegetation would be, like a help me out, Ash.
Yeah, so I'm just reading. Yeah, so it was W.C. Levengood was the doctor.
Yes.
And so he sort of this summary. So the summary of the blood was that it appears to be pure hemoglobin with what appears to be segment rods in the blood. He had never seen anything like it. And the skin looks like segmented grass, except it's not grass.
Cool.
Coming from Dr. Levengood.
Who
the proteins in the samples could not be identified as anything he'd ever seen before, either plant or animal or human. And that's from the doctor who did the tests.
And weirdly, the doctor ends up dead not long after. John sent it by FedEx, if I remember rightly.
He
mentioned. When it absolutely has to be there next day.
Imagine when they ask you what's inside it, like insurance purposes or whatever.
Yeah, they do, because they want to know if you're going to be shipping batteries and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What is it? Alien flesh. Don't worry about it. Unknown. It's almost like something out of Jeffrey Dahmer and Dennis Nielsen type of flesh from a body being sent out. There probably is that weird shit happening anyway, but
yeah. And he had Dr. Levengood had sort of spoke to his colleagues at the Michigan University, where the lab was, and all of them said that they were all perplexed and amazed, and they couldn't identify like the origin of the sample that they sent. And he was getting ready to sort of prepare a report on it, but it never came to be.
Yeah.
Like I say, the doctor ended up dying.
Yeah, strange. But the report of what you've just been talking about is on John's website, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all verifiable.
Yeah. So, as me and Ash said, and we've said it offline as well many times, even if you're like 1% of this whole story is true and the rest is rubbish, if 1% of it is true, that's insane at the very least. Because he had like men in black turn up and these weird people turning up, but they were not like futuristic guys or anything. They were like local law enforcement with black tape over there and badges and stuff and over their number plates. And so it didn't like fit the typical men in black type thing, but
it was like someone needs to torture him, but just don't tell him so he can't know who you are. So that's just cover up your badge number. Yeah,
it was that level of detail and that kind of weirdness. I think follows. He was shooting at craft that were in the back garden. I say back garden, it's a ranch, but above the ranch with an AK-47. I mean, that's not a Friday night out in Whitney, I must say, or even in maybe Manchester, but definitely not round here, Ash, down south.
Well,
well, yeah. To be fair, so yeah, very strange place, and John had Ghost Adventures do an episode there, and they experienced some weird sort of like poltergeist activity. John had seen portals opening up on the property. They'd had paranormal activity in the house. Yeah, I'm glad we got the opportunity to speak to John. I really am, because he was it seemed a genuine guy when you're speaking to him.
So nice as well.
And he was so nice. And the fact that he gave up his time, and I know he's probably a busy guy, and the fact that we managed to get that recorded before he passed away, that will be our legacy to John, is that is our most popular episode.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's so cool because not many people had heard of Stardust Ranch. There are episodes of podcasts out there that talk to John and have
been on Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah, and they talk about the ranch. I know there's I think Michaela Ford has spoken on Paranormal or What podcast about Stardust Ranch as well, along with Skinwalker Ranch. But yeah, no, it's a great ranch, and it's a shame that I don't know what the future holds, whether or not it's staying as a ranch or whether that. Because incidentally, it was actually Robert Bigelow tried to buy Stardust Ranch before he bought Skinwalker Ranch.
Could have been a completely different story.
Yeah, could have been. Nids would have been in there. All that kind of stuff. So who knows? And then you might have had Brendan Frugal buying that off Bigelow.
Yeah, I say this. I mean, this story goes back decades. It's not a recent.
No,
but it carried on. So the events carried on all this time.
Yeah. Very strange place. Very nice guy. And the ranch was actually bought, and they rescued horses and took horses in where people couldn't look after them or whatever. So Stardust Ranch is actually like a
horse sanctuary.
Horse sanctuary. So I bet those horses could tell a story or two. So yeah, big shout out to John up in the sky.
Yeah.
So Stardust Ranch. Let us know your thoughts on that anyway, because it is a great account of many weird things that have happened on.
It's interesting. Whatever your sort of take on it is, it's just super interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting, and it's one of the ones that got me hooked back ages and ages ago. So yeah, cool. So where are we moving to next?
So another probably lesser known one, quite potentially, is Evans Ranch.
So I don't really know a great deal about this one, and I know we spoke about it before we started recording. You was talking about Evans Ranch. I've never heard of it. I'll be honest.
So it's a bit. I mean, there's a bit. Obviously, like all this stuff, there's some questions in the air about it. And it's possibly been known as different names in the past, and or changed its name and stuff. And people talk about different ranches, and we mean this ranch. It's all a bit odd, and it is a little bit difficult to find proper information and names of the people that live there and stuff. It takes a bit of digging. But from the information, as far as I can read it, is so we've got Evans Ranch located near the Elbert County dump outside of Elizabeth, Colorado, which is just southeast of Denver, Colorado. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. It's now an abandoned Titan launch control facility, and everything that was below ground is still intact. And there's actually an incident about a year ago where a backhoe broke through one of the silo tops.
Yeah.
So the dump's actually closed in a minute because they've been trying to clean it up. But the area in question, the area around that control facility, is so populated residential area. And it's recently the ranch made itself. Obviously, big ranch. I think it's 160 acres or something. Part of it's all been sold off to different mini ranches and stuff. But this ranch, Evans Ranch, is believed to be the ranch which was the subject of an APRO investigation report in 1978. So that's the Aerial Phenomena Research Organisation.
Okay.
Which actually quite popularly done some big investigations and papers and that back over the decades. So they investigated it in 1978, and some of the unusual events experienced there include a humming sound that was often prevalent throughout the ranch house, although the noise could not be traced to any devices, and it seemed to be following a pattern of being heard during a windstorm or after a windstorm. Noises were heard as if an intruder was walking around the outside of the ranch. Sounds like someone opening a car door and beating on the walls and doors of the house were heard, but there's never anybody there. So kind of like poltergeist, like activity.
It's quite a lot of that across all the ranches. Like Stardust Ranch got poltergeist activity. How did all that furniture get out? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, Skinwalker in the homestead
Oh,
had
fuck
some
me. Yeah,
stuff
loads.
going on in there.
Yeah.
They've had strange Bigfoot-like creatures in the woods.
Awesome.
Multiple UFO sightings, including one where 9 glowing discs were seen sitting down near the pond.
Okay.
A light flash was observed by the witnesses at the time, and one of the ladies who was actually inside the house experienced a blow to the head while she was just sat there, and she fell unconscious to the floor. She was fine, but it was like someone had hit her, but nothing had hit her. A large circle, approximately 75 feet in diameter, appeared in a clearing and would not support vegetation again. So it's like all just the foundations just died and nothing would grow there.
That's weird.
One morning, Jim, who was named one of the witnesses at the time, he was paralysed by something in bed, and he saw a tall, skinny creature wearing a helmet standing in the room by the glass door, just watching him. He appeared to have 3 tubes connected to his suit. Jim was able to scream, and the creature just disappeared.
Wow.
So quite like alien type description, wearing a spacesuit, just stood watching him in bed. Scary to wake up.
Pervert. Yeah, there's a lot of reports of like aliens in people's bedrooms and weird. That's got to be weird.
And the times when the ranch would be plunged into complete darkness without any electricity, but the neighbouring properties and ranches would be fine. So it'd be like only that property that would experience the outages. And during one of these blackouts, all of the radio and stereo systems appeared to broadcast a message saying, "You have been allowed to remain. Do not cause us to take action which you will regret." Imagine hearing that. Everything goes into pitch black, but then the radios to start playing a message saying, "You have been allowed to remain. Do not cause us to take action which you will regret."
Fucking hell. It's like a Black Mirror episode, if nothing else. 1984 and all that kind of stuff. The powers that be in Big Brother. Jesus.
I was thinking more Hotel. Oh my god. I don't know. It's gone out of my head. The name of the show I was thinking of. It always goes fuzzy. Old, it's like black and white.
The Twilight Zone.
Yes, the Twilight Zone.
Yes,
that's the
we
one.
got there. We got there. I used to love that. They've rebooted that just out of interest. It's a new version. It's a bit Black Mirror-y kind of, but more.
I love the old series.
Yeah. I used to love that. There was one, and the guy looks out the window, and there's this alien creature on the wing of a plane pulling the engine apart, and nobody else can see it except for him. Very weird. I remember that one specifically.
Mad.
Simpsons done an episode like that as well. One of the Halloween episodes was Bart sees it on a bus, and there's this creature pulling the bus apart, and nobody else can see it.
Cool.
I digress. Sorry.
No, I'm glad you. I can't think of the name of the. I was thinking Hotel, like the Trident, Tower of Terror.
Ah, that's a great ride.
It is.
Shit myself the first time I went on that. Near enough did.
It's fun.
Yeah.
We also had cattle mutilations around the time of the UFO activities.
Classic.
They had a cow that was found to be mutilated, and a young bull that didn't belong to the ranch was found there with its head twisted back to front. Okay. And various organs have been removed with what appeared to be surgical precision. Jim, same witness who was living at the time, spotted a landed disc in the woods with two humanoids nearby. He and the eldest son saw what could only be described as a box emitting strange hums and other sounds, whilst multicolored lights flashed on and off. So this box was around 3 foot by 2 foot wide, so not big by any accounts. And they could just see it, and there's a strange noise and lights just
Weird.
coming of it, and these two humanoids nearby. And he was.
It sounds very much like the McPherson tapes. Have you seen that?
Yes,
I love that.
I've seen
one of the original found footage films.
Yeah, is it late 80s?
Yeah, like proper low budget.
Original.
The son and the dad go into the woods, and they see two alien creatures. One looks round, and they just peg it.
It's so scary.
Yeah, it is. Towards the end, when the aliens come in,
and just like seeing go past the window, and and they've been the one in the house, and you get the big one of the bodies in, don't they? And then it's like, why you brought it into the house? Like, well,
yeah, it's an insane film.
I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, if you've not seen it, get on it. It's a classic alien UFO horror found footage house invasion film.
Yeah, and I'm on my own in this house, and I'm got goosebumps looking around at the door, like it's creeping me out now.
Got an alien behind you. Other side.
Yeah.
Saw that in person.
So Jim believes that these humanoid creatures were expecting him, and he was told to not go near the box. Then, a Bigfoot-like creature was seen walking towards the box, but it suddenly fell to the ground. The humanoid creature said to Jim, "As you see, it can be lethal." It basically knocked this Bigfoot creature to the ground. The humanoid spoke in perfect English and told them that they were sorry for the inconvenience. It's crazy. It is crazy. They said that they expected some changes to occur in the events which were happening at the ranch. However, after this encounter, both the strange events and the level of tension increased for the residents.
Wow.
I mean, we're following this on from Stardust Ranch. It just seems a little bit. We've got him killing aliens and being thinking, now we've got aliens and then Bigfoot coming towards them, and this mystery box, just knocking this Bigfoot creature out. There was a fire on the front porch of the ranch, which was apparently started by electrical wiring in contact with paint buckets. And due to the fear and the stress and just everything going on, the family just left in 1978. Just like, no, we've had enough. And that's when APRO came in, and we're like, let's do our report. More recently, obviously this was like 1978. There's a above top secret user called Leslie V, your old haunt.
Yeah.
So they live nearby to this particular ranch, and said like there isn't that much stuff happening today, but in the past few years there's been some UFO activity.
Yeah.
Not as much as used to be when the base was active.
Okay, interesting.
And there's believed to be an entrance to the underground facility near there. Obviously, right. And a couple of years ago, there was a glowing object over the area that was brightening and dimming at about a 1 second rate. It remained stationary for about 15 minutes and then slowly moved off to the east with a steady glow. And going back to what I said at the start, the general area is now in the approach pattern of Denver International Airport.
Oh my God.
So that is something like we have talked about before on the show. That you've talked about.
Yeah.
It has weird stuff going on, underground tunnels and everything as well. And that is not far from this ranch.
Wow. Okay.
So it could all be connected.
Yeah, check out our episode where we talk about Denver.
That would be one of our early episodes as well.
It was.
Kind of like
Yeah. Yeah. As part of a Paranormal United States. Yeah, very strange place. So yeah, if that's located nearby, that could explain some weirdness.
Definitely. And I believe Colorado itself was like used for nuclear testing.
Yeah, I think
Years ago.
all that
all
that sort of side was. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Because it's
so-
near Nevada and all that kind of jazz.
So that could like explain one, why there's UFO interest,
Yep,
alien interest, nuclear
yep,
link.
definitely. Yep.
Could create some sort of malfunctions in reality that
Yeah.
cause this stuff to happen. So yeah, that was Evans Ranch in Elizabeth,
I like
Colorado.
that. I'd not heard of that before, so it's
Like I
not
said, there is
often
some
we.
questioning over the exact name of it and the exact
Yeah,
location. And sometimes people talk about a different mansion, they mean this one, or talk
yeah,
about this one, but talk about a different one because there's quite a few of these
yeah,
ranches.
yeah.
Wow.
No, I like that. It's interesting to hear about a ranch that we haven't heard of. So that's because a lot of them they're over on TV now because it's quite a big thing to have a ranch with weird stuff. Yeah, so that isn't one I've heard of, and it doesn't. But like you say, it's a bit all over the place. But
Some, like I say, some far out stories. And again, like we think, there isn't really any evidence to support it apart from this Apple report, which is very interesting to read.
yeah,
You can go and read that. There's 2 reports that they published about the site, about the ranch.
I'll have a little look at that.
So it's worth a dig. This is just an intro to it, but it is worth.
Yeah,
It is worth a dig.
definitely.
That's all viewable and readable. But that doesn't call it Evan Ranch. They just call it a Colorado ranch near the Rocky Mountains. They don't actually give it a name.
Yeah.
It's only other people that have linked said actually this must be this ranch.
Okay.
You mentioned then about sort of ranches that are on TV.
Yes.
On one of them that I've only heard of through a TV show.
Yeah.
And even trying to find out more information online, I couldn't really find anything apart from references to the TV show. So if it's called something else, again, like with Evans Ranch, it's got a different name where there's more information. But this is Blind Frog Ranch.
Yes. So I've not really got involved in the TV program. I think I popped it on once or twice because Blind Frog, it's quite of a weird name, so I thought I'd check it out.
It sounds very Native American, like.
Yeah, it does, and I think it's I think they found a load of frogs. I think it's genuinely why.
Ah, okay.
The reason it's called Blind Frog Ranch is because there's some kind of blind frogs on site.
Right, okay.
I think.
But Blind Frog Ranch was the subject of the Discovery Channel's Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch TV show, revolving around a 160-acre ranch in Utah's Uinta Basin, just 20 minutes away from Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
You're very, very, very close to Skinwalker Ranch. And the whole thing comes about after discovering an underground cavern system underneath the property. Dwayne Ollinger, the owner of the ranch, is determined to find the famous lost treasure thought to be hidden in caves. But there is lots of many strange occurrences that the locals believe to be cursed, which is cursed to protect the treasure. And locals, town people, and the local Native Americans are very worried about them going into there because they think it could break the curse. Dwayne and his son Chad, determined to find the fortune of gold, start just trying to find it. There's these caves and caverns full of water.
Yeah.
They get ill from being down there. They find the box, very similar to the box at Evans Ranch.
Yeah.
So there's a link there that people have talked about. Apparently it's a 600-year-old box, and inside it was some rocks. Apparently, like special rocks that have got powers.
Okay.
But like Skinwalker Ranch, Blind Frog Ranch has a very long history of curses and other ghostly happenings going back to the 1800s. So the people that live nearby are obviously very familiar with the land. They've had cat mutilations, UFOs, black helicopters, trespasses, radiation, exotic materials, magnetic and gravitational irregularities, ancient cultures, mysterious equipment failures, which we experienced some of on Friday night in my basement.
Absolutely did.
We absolutely did. And lights in the night. I mean, a lot of people claim it's fake. Like, I hadn't heard of it apart from the TV show.
Same.
So it's not like there's some famous ranch and they've got investigated there like they had with Skinwalker.
Yeah.
It's very like I say, everything I could find online was referenced in the TV show. It wasn't like there's reports or stuff I could find before the TV show, so it's all a bit. And it's a very recent TV show, like the last couple of years. In fact, I think the latest series was this year actually. So it's all very new, and a lot of people claim it's fake and sort of enacted out, but we don't know.
It just seems that, like you say, this one's come out of nowhere, really.
So unless it's been known by a different name, that has been.
Mm.
I think like with Evans Ranch, it's been known as different things. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but I've seen that there is the TV program, and I'm aware that it's near Skinwalker as well in the Unital Basin.
I mean, like I say, the sort of skeptic in you is going to be the jumping on the back of Skinwalker, because obviously History Channel does Skinwalker one, and this is Discovery Channel show. So are these sort of just trying to piggyback on the success of the Skinwalker stuff?
Yeah, you kind of have to think it might be.
Should have took on Stardust. Would have been
Should have taken on Stardust. Yeah, definitely much better. Interestingly, as we've been talking about these ranches, I've been looking at their locations, and Blind Frog Ranch and Evans and Eceti, which we'll come on to in a moment, Gilliland Ranch, are very near water, right next to rivers. So I don't know about Stardust Ranch. I got the impression it wasn't near a river, but I know Skinwalker Ranch is next to a river.
Well, is the Unitar Basin not like used to be water?
Yeah, I think it did.
I think with the name Basin.
Yeah, because you've got Mosby Creek goes past Blind Frog Ranch. I don't know which one goes past Gilliland Ranch, but it's strange. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. So,
well, we did at the conference on Saturday. We did UFO Identified did a presentation on sort of local UFO sightings in the northwest of England.
Yeah,
and both the Manchester sort of segment and the Liverpool segment both featured the River Mersey and sightings that had happened like along the River Mersey, which is obviously a famous and big river in our country. The ferry across the Mersey.
They play that song on the ferry.
So again, water is that why?
Yeah, maybe. And then you've got all like the Tic Tac. That's all water based or around water, sea
coming out of the water.
Yeah, and I know when we spoke to Jason from the UAP Studies podcast, Jason Guillemot, he had an experience where he saw something go transmedium and out of the water, I think it was, wasn't it, or into the water. One of his sightings. So
I think Ryan Sprague's was above water as well, a lake.
Yeah,
his sighting when he was a kid.
Yeah, he was because he saw the reflection of the lights on the water. See, I did listen.
You weren't just gallivanting and chatting
trying
people.
to flog t-shirts. By that point, I think I sold as many as we were going to sell. So and I know everybody wanted to watch Ryan Sprague's. There was loads of people. Everybody watched everything, but there seemed to be a bit of a buzz in the air when Ryan was about to speak. So
definitely his first ever UK
conference
appearance.
and he's now just moved to the UK as well. So yeah, it's really cool.
We've already got events lined up involving Ryan.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, the synchronicity of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that have got connections to each other. So I know this is a little bit off track, but we are talking about Minicon and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to be a bit more of a relaxed show tonight.
Yeah.
Relaxed episode. We're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So I come up, I bring my paranormal equipment, I bring my MacBook, and all sorts of clothes and whatnot. And long story short, I'm looking down into a box and there's a load of books that Ryan Spraggs has written.
He sent to me to look after.
Yeah. So they're in this box and I'm thinking, I recognise that picture. And lo and behold, it's the cover of my MacBook that I ordered from Etsy months ago that came from somebody in Ukraine, and I was toying between two designs, and I go for this particular design because I really like it. Some guy in a mountain range looking up at a light that seems to be beaming light down to him. And so yeah, I've got the cover, the bottom, and the keyboard area, all of the same design. And below me down, it's the same design as on Ryan's front cover. I mean, what are the chances of that? And I didn't even know that. I just thought that is a nice design. So I pointed that out to him. But yeah, so loads of strange things happen. So, and we've experienced that over the last couple of years. Loads of weird stuff happens, and there's connections to people. We've had guests with our MPs. We're connected, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very strange. There's too many, I think, for it to be. And incidentally, when we were talking to John Edmonds, we had a weird experience. My whole computer shut down and rebooted and whatnot. But
we never lost you on the camera.
Which is weird.
It didn't even freeze or anything. It's just like you were still there.
That is odd because it went completely off during that interview. And we were on Skype doing that call with John. So on his landline number or something, we just managed some frantic sort of challenge to get us to contact him. So yeah, so the water thing could be a thing, and like I say, it seems to be a thing, just in general. So where do you want to go next, Ash?
Eceti. Any water around there?
Yeah. It's Eceti Ranch is located on Little Mountain Road in Trout Lake, Washington State. So up in the northwest of the US. So Trout Lake is just up the road from the ranch, and that indeed has water next to it and a river running past it, which is a running theme on this episode for some reason. The other point to note is that this ranch sits at the bottom and the base of Mount Adams, which is, I believe, an inactive volcano, the dormant. And it's a very impressive mountain. To make it even more weird, this mountain has, and I've seen the videos, lights that just appear and come out the side of the mountain.
Right, okay.
Strange lights. And if you see the picture of it, and you only have to go on like Eceti.org, their homepage has got Mount Adams in the main banner picture. It's not somewhere where people go. It's a bit steep, it's a bit snowy, not all the time, but it's up in the northwest. It's a bit colder than the rest of the US. And yeah, loads of weird things coming out of it. There's footage of the sky watches that they do with night vision goggles, and they obviously have the laser pointers that I don't don't know why my arm is up in the sky. I'm just sort of trying to visualize it myself. And yeah, so they've got these objects going over, and they use the pen to do a little laser light, and these things react to the lights. They change direction, not satellites. And you see the footage. They've got loads of videos and photos on there, and it's a place where it's very spiritual. They do a lot of healing and cleansing workshops, and it's quite new age in a nice way. It's like a personal healing meditation that they do, all this kind of getting back to you type thing. Plus, they do C5 contacts.
Okay.
So I believe John was one of the first sort of people to start doing C5 as it's known to be.
John Gilliland.
James Gilliland, sorry, James. Yeah, so James Gilliland owns the Eceti ranch. I should have started with that, really. And James Gilliland, it's also known as the Gilliland Ranch.
Yep.
You can go there, you can skywatch there, you can go on their courses of self-enlightenment, that kind of thing. Or just camp down and do whatever. Yeah, it's a great, wonderful place that's based around UFOs. So they've said they've demonstrated contact redundantly on many TV specials, and with as many as 200 witnesses giving the exact time and locations that the ships would appear through CE5. They've been doing it for 42 years, James Gilliland has. One of the largest contact in the desert gatherings, MUFON acknowledged 85 UFOs after our meditations. They were the first to do a coast-to-coast global intention experiment with Art Bell, which was a resounding success. And much of the knowledge in the field, so outwards, has been borrowed from James's work that he's happy for people to use, as long as it's not used to further negative agendas. He's a very positive guy, and if you see him, you go, he's the kind of guy I would expect to live on a meditation and self-healing ranch. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but you see him, he's an older chap, he's got like the cowboy sort of Native American Indian sort of dress, long hair in a ponytail, that kind of thing. It's nice guy. I've seen loads of interviews with him. Nice guy. They also talk about multi-dimensional universes.
Okay.
Something we've been familiar with over the past 2 years. And they've been doing and talking about multi-dimensional universe since the 80s. So James, I don't know, I keep saying John, I keep going back to John Edmonds. So James has decades worth of experience in this field. It is a great place. It's somewhere that I've wanted to visit. It's on my list to do. But James is also someone that I've been trying to get on the podcast as well. And they've said, yeah, he'll come on, and we just haven't got to that point yet. Anybody who does podcasts and tried to get people to come on the show will know that sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reason.
Yeah, for take into consideration the time zone, especially from that side of America.
Yeah, so you're like 8 hours behind, so they'll contacts almost like a day between you, and I know these guys are massively busy. He's a host of documentaries, James is. Contact has begun, and Contact has begun too. Is featured in documentaries and television shows such as His Story, the History Channel, UFOs Now and Then, UFO Hotspots on ABC, Fox, and also anybody who used to watch Danny Dyer done a UFO program, and he went to James's ranch and witnessed weird shit happening through the night vision goggles. I also believe Matey Boy from Happy Mondays.
Sean Ryder.
Sean Ryder, thank you. I believe Sean Ryder's also been there. I remember seeing a program where he went down to South America and stuff, and I'm sure he went to the ranch at the same time. But it's a very cool setting for a ranch. It's, like I say, it's at the base of Mount Adams, and yeah, it's there's been no, as far as I'm aware, there are no other sort of cryptids, that kind of thing happening.
Just UFOs.
UFOs, orbs, a lot of spiritual orbs happening when they do C5 and when they do some of the spiritual meditations on the ranch. Yes, it's a super cool place, and you can visit it. You can stay for 5 hours doing Skywatch, which is quite cool, every night. And I think it's £20. It's a donation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to take dogs for anybody who's looking to take a dog. And as I mentioned about laser pens, it's only James and his crew can use it. But yeah, it's all.
He's not paying you thousands to go sit with a certain Dr. Gray.
And not allowed to video it or anything like that.
Talk about it or anything.
Yeah. No, he definitely loves talking about it. There's untold amounts of documentaries where people talk about James Gilliland and the ranch. The Danny Dyer one, although it's Danny Dyer and he's a bit of a geezer and a bit light-hearted, he actually experiences stuff, which he can't explain, and it is a good moment in the documentary. It's BBC things. It's on iPlayer, I expect. Where
don't pay me TV license, can't watch iPlayer.
I didn't want to say that, but but if you don't watch live TV, then don't have to. And that's my case, Your Honour. But yeah, they do all sorts of events there. It's a very public place, not like some of the other ranches that we've been speaking about, which are very closed off and you have to.
Yeah.
It's a tight-knit thing. James actively gets people to come on board and experience and have their own experience. And I think that's the important thing, is having their own experience is the thing. Once you have that experience, I think that's when people change their perception of things a little bit. And go, actually, I did see something strange. That's weird. And I know Ryan talks about like the human side of the phenomena, where people are affected by experiences they've had and other people are. And
when it's that open with it as well. Like say, he is literally like, come. Just come and look. You're not hiding anything.
It's great. You can see on the website, it's got loads of photos and videos of craft and all that kind of stuff. Some, again, you don't know, do you? Some photos might be something, might not be. It's difficult to tell unless you're there. But I think it's a really cool place. And Eceti, let me tell you what Eceti stands for. So Eceti stands for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Eceti. You thought so? So yeah, as I say, you can visit this ranch. It's all public. It's a cool place. So it is different to the others, and it is built by a river. So next stop is...
So I'm going to take us to Haywood Ranch.
Ooh.
Have you heard of this one?
No, I have not.
No. So, Haywood Ranch is sort of like, it's a horse ranch, and they handle horses for film and television shows. And I'm one of the guys that own the ranch. He was actually killed when an object falls from the sky. And then his son tries to sort of find out what's going on, and ends up having this huge craft above the ranch. I'm trying to keep a straight face. I'm talking about Nope, the movie.
Okay. I haven't seen it. So
I
that
know
was
you've not seen. That's why I thought I'd try and play it like it's a real ranch.
I was going to say, because obviously we talk off air before we come on and go, right, how we're gonna do this, and a little bit of planning. That was never mentioned.
Well, I've written down there. It's like I'll just put that in at the end. There's a bit
Shoehorn it in.
Yeah, bit of a horseshoe it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
I do want to see that. I might try and see that this weekend. Yeah.
I can actually talk about it because you're always like, "Don't tell me anything." I'm like,
I know. Even the other day we were talking. It's like, don't tell me at the conference. Don't tell me what happens.
Yeah, you need to watch it.
Yeah, we'll do, and then we can talk about it openly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just about wraps it up.
Are we going to go Skinwalker or no?
People know Skinwalker.
Yeah, Skinwalker's done to death. But if you get a chance to read Hunt for the Skinwalker as a book by George Knapp and Colin Kelleher, well worth a read. It's great, and it talks about their investigation right at the start of when all the weird shit happens. Yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, like you say, I think Skinwalker's done to death. Everybody knows Skinwalker.
Yeah. I'm hoping with the ones we talked about today.
Yeah,
might be new for some people.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least one of them might be new for most people.
Yeah, definitely.
They've learned something interesting. They can go dig deeper.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know that Stardust Ranch is on the ley line.
Are they linked to any others?
There's 3 ranches, I believe, on this ley line. John was talking about that, but I can't remember the names of the ranches. And a lot of weird stuff happens on ley lines, as we've mentioned. Angel Inn is on a ley line. A lot of places where there's activity are on ley lines. So
we've got water and we've got ley lines.
Yeah. Something to definitely check out the ley line thing. I know you can get maps of ley lines, so it'd be interesting to see what other properties are on ley lines.
Yeah.
And contact those people, I suppose, and just shout out to them. We're coming for you.
Yep. And I would highly recommend everyone goes and listens to our episode with John.
Yes.
From Stardust. So should we re-release it? So it's like
we could do
the next episode after this one.
Yeah.
So I can go back to.
Yeah, we can do that.
8. So we'll re-release it as a new episode.
Yeah. Maybe it's a bonus episode.
Yeah, let's do that tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah. So we'll put it out the following day to this podcast. So shout out to everybody who's already listened to the episode, but knowing what we've just spoken about on this episode, it is a good opportunity to listen to John's experiences, and he's very open with us about what happens. He doesn't care if people believe him or not. Big shout out to John up in the sky.
Rest in peace, John.
Rest in peace, John.
Couldn't believe it. I read the news when
I know
he died.
I know, I can't believe that. Sad times. It is sad that we lose these people that have, certainly to me, as somebody I really wanted to speak to, and the story's great, and then that person passes away, and there's no more opportunities for people to speak to him and ask him questions that maybe he hasn't been asked before. And
at least we get to do our part in preserving his story and getting his story out there.
Absolutely. So on that note, thanks for listening, everybody. It was a bit more of a relaxed sort of vibe to this one on the come down from the UFO Mini Con. It was a busy weekend. We had a little sleep, and I did stop for a Costa on the way home to try and keep me awake. But yeah, cool. All right, Ash, I'll speak to you on the other side.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
Pursuit of the Paranormal with Ash and Greg.